Okay, hopefully you can hear me okay. Um, this is the additional ink wash assignment that there's no required turn-in for this. This is just for your information. Um, so it does help to have an ink bottle that has an eyedropper on it, like these kind. They sell some that don't have it, and if they don't have them, you have to dip your nib in there. So just to recap, so this is your nib holder, and this is your nib. And I usually say make sure you get one that says it's a drawing nib and not a calligraphy nib, because a calligraphy nib has a chisel tip, and that's good if you're trying to do lettering, but we're trying to just do line. Um, and it's hard to see, but the convenient thing when you push down the, it has two pieces of metal that go together, and as you push down, it opens up, and then the ink flows through it. And you have to make sure, you can see it's kind of cupped. You have to make sure you're drawing with the cupped part down. Students always draw with the cup side up because they put the ink in the cup part and they don't want to spill it. It has to have the cup part down because that's the only way the metal will open up. If you push down like this, it won't open up. So let me just load it real quick. And again, if you don't have an eyedropper, you have to dip it. I put it, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I put a little bit in there, and then I kind of just test it off to the side. And I'm drawing my little mannequin head over here. So I started it with an ink wash. Actually, I started it with pencil. Then I put in some basic ink wash. Um, it is possible to start with ink if you feel confident enough with your drawing, or to start with ink and then do the ink wash last. There's no specific order. I personally prefer to do a quick ink wash to kind of know where all my lights and darks are. And it's just like a regular pen. As you push harder, it gets thicker. You can do some hatching. This is on cheap paper, so it's kind of wrinkled on me. And then there's only so much you have before it starts to run out on you. Like it's already run out, so I have to load it again. Oops. You have to be careful. And usually I'll scrape it on the edge after I do it just to get the excess off. And I mean, it depends on how much detail you want to do. I could wait for this to dry and come back and do more ink wash. You can go back and forth between um, nib and wash. There's no set way of doing it. I guess I should show you some other tools. There's a smaller nib holder, which I don't recommend. This is if you're doing really fine detail. Um, and I used just a generic acrylic painting brush to do this. And also, I used a watercolor palette. I put in pure ink in the middle, and then as I went off to the sides, I diluted it a little bit to get it lighter. Um, let me just show you. So if I stick it in here, it's pure black. And then if I come off to the side, I have water off to the side in this little container here. I dilute, I take a little bit of this, I dilute it with some water, and I can even just put more water off to the side and dilute this even more to get even thinner. So some people are really bold. Like they'll straight up, I'll do this, I'll do my bold drawing with it. They get the brush, and they no pencil, they'll just go for it. They'll be like, okay, there's the eye socket, there's the nose, there's the other eye socket, there's a shadow, there's Get a shadow under there. I mean, you can be as bold as you want with it. I'll lighten it up for the shadow under here. I personally like to do a little bit of penciling first before I just go with the brush. I think I'm going to show you some artists who does the bold technique. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So also I want to keep in mind, it is possible to do the tone paper technique with this. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. I got some ink bleed through here. Also, like, you literally can use anything you want. Like, with this assignment, which I haven't set assignment for you guys, I'll tell students, use, if you have colored pens, if you have even these crappy kids pens, like anything ink based will work. They make all kinds of colored inks. You just have to make sure you kind of clean off. I usually have a piece of paper towel ready and I wipe this off before I let it dry. Otherwise, it'll be a pain in the butt to clean it. I don't know if you guys can see. Nice and clean. So if I want to switch to a color, I could. So, tone paper. Oh yeah, and then gel pens work really nice. It has to be opaque so to show up on the white paper. This is my favorite technique. Whenever I'm drawing in my sketchbook, I have a sketchbook with tone paper in it. And when I'm on the go, I have a mechanical pencil, and I have these little gel pens, and I do this all with pencil and gel pen. So if you can see, I don't know if you can see my little ball. With my little ball, just pencil and some gel pen. So you could do a little bit of hatching too on the white side. Before it blends, you can actually before it dries, you can kind of blend it in a little bit. Get the highlight in there. It depends on how bold you want the hatching to be. Some people, they don't want that hatching to show. They want to have it blended away. I personally don't care either way. And then you can shade. You don't have to hatch when you start to shade. You could use a regular pencil and kind of have it all be blended. But I'm just going to do a little bit of hatching in here, like that. Or you can use your pen, your nib pen. I'll try something different just for the sake of variety. A cheap little Micron pen. Come in here. Do some hatching. I'll do a flat hatching style just for the sake of speed. Use my gel pen. Or also, like, you could get a white ink if you want to use white ink. Load up your pen and then do some hatching with that. I use this whenever I use it. It's basically a what do you call it? Airbrush paint. It's an acrylic type of paint, and it flows really nicely. You can load it up. Let me just try this one instead of the cheap gel pen. Oh, wait a minute. Do I have to? Oh, it's brand new. Well, too much. And I could dilute this with water too if I wanted to do a wash, but I'm not going to. Highlight. So, the head. So I'm going to try this without washes. It's already ran out. And I hope you can see that I did pencil this in first. I lightly penciled in my little head. I'm just kind of blocking in the major shadows. There's no wash down first. I could let this dry and then come back and do a wash, which I probably would normally do, because I'm not really the biggest fan of just hatching only. I kind of like a little wash mixed in. So I'll wipe this off. Come in here, get that nice bright highlight that's on the ridge of the nose. So there's a pretty bright highlight up in here. Kind of some highlights up along this ridge. And I could blend that in too. Some light up in here along this ridge. Remember, any plane that's sort of bent towards the light. I'm going to do some really broad. I'll go back to the black pen. Oh yeah, you could use your white chalk pesto. Use this and then your white, if you don't have a white pen, which I didn't make any of that required. I'm just showing you extra fun stuff to do. And again, the harder you push, the fatter the line gets. The lighter you push, the thinner the line gets. Just like a brush. That's how a brush is meant to be used. Like if you just don't push very hard and just use the tip, it's thin, and then push down and get fat, thin, fat. It's kind of the same idea. It's kind of a calligraphy kind of a technique. Just going to quickly hatch in the major shadow that's under the eye socket here. And if you don't want to do any washes, like if you want things to be lighter, you basically you let the hatching be wider. Like there's a very, very slight shadow on the side of the nose here, but it's not that dark, so I'm going to make it really wide. Oops. So again, like the shadow over here is a lot darker. I probably would come back, do another crisscross over here. I could let that dry and do another one, or I can come back with a wash. You can even try mixing in a little pencil. There's no right way to do it exactly. You just slowly build it up. Personally, this is my favorite is tone paper with a gel pen, maybe a regular pen and a graphite pencil. You could. It's possible to mix these different techniques together. I could come back with that and put a little bit of ink in there. Color's always fun. You can mix colors together with hatching. Which will show better on the lighter paper. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a yellow. Do some hatching with yellow. Yellow and blue make green. So this is a blue. It's kind of optically mixing with the yellow, kind of looking greenish, as opposed to just using, green. Let's see. Red and blue make a violet, even though there's no color theory in this class. Put a little bit of red down, put a little bit of blue to sort of optically create a mixture of violet, even though I'm not actually mixing them. I'm kind of just overlaying them to kind of imply a violet. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. They sell really, really fancy art markers that cost a lot of money. My favorite thing is I literally buy these guys and just you can shade away with this any way you want. It's really and just throw them away. Like you could use any, you can use Sharpies, you can use anything. It doesn't have to be super fancy stuff. One of my favorite ones is these Tombow. I think I got these on eBay. Tombow um, brush pens. I like them because you can have thin line, thick line, and then you just throw them away. You don't have to refill them. They have some that are refillable. So that's just for your information. The trickiest thing really is getting the handle of this guy, keeping it clean, knowing how to load that just right, and not dripping it everywhere. That's really the trickiest thing of all this. So enjoy that.